It's the Brad and John Show.
The people live on air will know I just made a huge mistake, but the people listening on the podcast will think, that Brad's got it down, man. He never makes a mistake, right, John?
Absolutely right, Brad.
This is the C Block. Today's date is April 30th. We started around 7:40, a little bit late. Now, haven't done this in a while, so I'm going to get this, and hopefully I can bring it up here real quick and do this. And I think this is the right one. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Incorporated by millennials. So what would John do? Let me explain it to you. He puts his head in the spin cycle cause his brain is the devil. Put bleach in his cereal, lipo through his genitals. Forward and past cause it's gray matter. Guessing who goes after. What would you do if you were John? Whoa.
Okay, here we go. Here's the what would John do. John, this is hypothetical. You ready?
I'm ready.
You get a traffic ticket about running a red light. I mean, running a stop sign in Maryland Heights. You're in Maryland Heights, and John rolls a stop sign. And he doesn't see any law enforcement anywhere. Looks around, thinks, oh, nobody's looking. I'm just going to go through the stop sign. 2 blocks down, he gets pulled over by a Maryland Heights police officer. And he says, sir, you just ran that stop sign back there. And you say to the Maryland Heights police officer, I have no idea how you know that. I didn't see you. You were nowhere. And he winks at you and goes, we're using our new police drone. Have you heard about this story, John?
No. Wow, Brad. So to answer your question, can I answer your question?
Yes. What would John do?
I would immediately text, not call. I would immediately text my favorite attorney to whom I ask legal questions on a certain basis. And I would say, am I going to have to pay this, or can you fix this for me? That's what I would do. Now, Brad, I haven't heard anything about these drones, and I bet civil liberties people aren't too happy about this.
Maryland Heights, recently, matter of fact, it talks about last Wednesday, this would be a week ago today, the Maryland Heights Police Department used a drone to focus on stop sign violations in the area of Bennington Place and Emilian Road, a residential area with a surprising amount of traffic. Quote, people simply do not stop at the stop sign and they run them, said Ed Alonzo. He lives down the street. He's happy about the use of drones, but others in the community have expressed concern. Legal expert and attorney Andrea McNary with Brown and Crouppen. Now, why are they asking her?
Brown and
Right.
Well, because somebody slipped and fell, Brad,
Right.
when they got out of their car to get the ticket.
Right, they fell. The quote, and she says, the question is whether the evidence is gathered in the way we traditionally think of as constitutional. A spokesperson for the Maryland Heights Police Department said they believe they were in the legal right, comparing it to when an officer uses radar and another officer pulls a driver over. The drone operator was on site. So in other words, what they're doing is one officer is running the drone at the stop sign location, and I would imagine what they're doing is they're not only, observing this, or observing the people running the stop sign, but they're also recording it. And then he's getting on his two-way and saying, "Hey, Jim, that blue Chevy that just ran through this white over blue Chevy, late model Chevy that's headed south on McKelvey, it blew the stop sign." So 3 or 4 blocks away from where you blew the stop sign, the bubblegum machines come on, you pull over, and the officer says, "I'm writing you a ticket for stop sign violation." So the analogy they're using is, and Maryland Heights does this quite a bit on 364, they have an officer who sits up on the river, I think it's called River Valley, that road. It's the only overpass. You're down into the Missouri River Valley down there between the Missouri River and where you go up and where Creve Coeur Lake is, where the bridge takes you over Creve Coeur Lake. They sit up there with their LiDAR unit, their laser unit, whatever it is, and then they have the chase cars, which is very similar to what they do in a lot of different munis and on highway patrol.
In the old days, not to interrupt, Brad, but in the old days, I remember when I first learned to drive, you'd see a cop on an overpass taking radar, and then the chase car is a mile down that would pull you over, right?
So this is the same thing. Only difference is, instead of having a guy in a police car with a radar gun, they have a police officer who's operating a drone who's hovering over the intersection where the stop sign is, and they're observing which people are stopping at the stop sign and which people aren't, and the ones that aren't, as they drive down the street, there's a chase car that's down the street that pulls them over and gives them a ticket. So what would John do? I mean, so you'd call your attorney and say, fix this ticket for me, right?
Yeah, I would text him and say, hey, is it legal to do this? Or, as I've learned, Brad, I mean, you have way more experience in this than I do because of your long driving history and propensity to get tickets. But also, sometimes it's, do I really have to pay this, or can you go in and get it moved down to a non-moving violation or whatever, right?
Well, first off, I don't get that many tickets. I've had very few in my life because I'm not like Shelley Barr. I don't have a lead foot, and typically...
Yeah, let's pick on Shelley. This is a good time to pick on Shelley.
She always accuses me of driving 40, 45 miles an hour, whatever the minimum is, which is, I've told the story before. Maybe I've never told it on here. I've told it with Shelley all the time. My dad was one of these guys. I can never remember which one's which. Missouri has the minimum speed, I think, of 45, and Illinois has 40. When I would be with my dad and we would go back and forth between Missouri and Illinois because he worked in Illinois, if we were like in Illinois and the minimum speed limit was 40 and we went into Missouri, and he would speed up to 45. And if we went back the other way, I can't remember which one's which. If we were doing 45 in Missouri and went in Illinois, he would slow down to 40. That was him. He drove the minimum on the highway. And I'm thinking to myself, first off, that's dangerous because of the fact that if you talk to most traffic experts, and I did this for a long time, I was by no way means a traffic expert, even though MoDOT invited me to be in their committee.
That's true. You've just interrupted your interruption. Go ahead, Brad. Right. If you ask the most traffic experts, they will tell you that it's most dangerous to go slow than going fast.
Well, it's a difference of speed. If everybody on the interstate is doing exactly 60 miles an hour, the chances of accidents are extremely diminished. But the problem is, like yesterday, when I'm driving along on 44 coming back from Franklin County, and a guy pulling a U-Haul trailer, a big U-Haul trailer, and it was raining very hard. We had some really intense rain yesterday where I was, at least where I was on 44. I'm probably doing, I got to throttle down to about 60 because, the speed limit there was 70 in the stretch I'm at. This guy must have passed me doing 100 when a pickup truck pulling a big U-Haul trailer, weaving in and out of traffic, okay? That guy is cheating death. I'm just saying because, especially if you know anything about pulling trailers, if you start...
Yeah, absolutely. So your original point, Brad, I think I got you off track. Your original point was, what do civil liberties people say about this? Like, what objection would you have? Why is it different to use a drone than using human eyeballs or a radar gun?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And Maryland Heights is probably, first off, I find it interesting. That was a Channel 4 report that I read. I find it interesting they called an attorney from Brown and Crouppen. I mean, don't you find that somewhat interesting?
Well, maybe their newsroom is actually the Brown and Crouppen newsroom, Brad. Maybe they have an in-house expert there. You know what Maryland Heights should do? According to Brad Hildebrand, they should hire their own lobbyists to lobby the legislature to make a law that makes it explicitly clear that drone tickets should be encouraged rather than discouraged.
Okay. Changing topics. I got this from someone, and I won't say who I got it from because they will not appreciate me saying this on the air. But this is witness.house.mo.gov. Are you familiar with this site?
It's where I'm guessing, using context clues, anyone who testifies before a House committee would log their name and their objection and why they're there at the committee, I guess.
Today, HJR 27, it just says Mackey, M-A-C-K-E-Y, consolidation of St. Louis City and St. Louis County. Do you know what's going on with this? Supposedly,
you talked about it several times on the air, Brad. It was Ian Mackey's dead on arrival proposal to unify St. Louis City and St. Louis County.
But is this coming up for debate today? Is that why this is on the witness list?
I don't. You've given me no more data on this. Can you tell me a little bit more about it?
It just says here. This was sent to me once again. This is on the website witness.house.mo.gov, and it says hearing. Emerging issues 4/30/2025. It lists four bills. Four bills. One of HB 1466, foam fire suppressants, HB 1208, foam fire suppressants, HB 1472, justice, panic alert technology in schools, and HJR 27, Mackey, or is it Mackey? Is that what it is, Mackey?
Yeah, Ian Mackey. He's a Democrat from St. Louis County. Yep.
Consolidation of St. Louis County and St. Louis City. So I guess these are all hearings today? Is that what this is?
Yeah, it looks to be. So I'm on the website now. It looks like that would just be bills that would be being discussed in committee. Sure.
I thought this was dead, though. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, well, things can be listed on things can be listed as being discussed that'll be discussed in committee, and then we'll lose a committee vote, and then they're dead.
So this is on the way to being dead then?
Unless you think that the Republican-dominated legislature would want to pass city-county unification, I would think an educated reader would view this as being dead, Brett. So why not have a hearing on it and let Mr. Mackey, in good faith, make his argument, and then let people publicly defecate on it and point out why it's a terrible idea, and then we won't have to hear about it again until next year.
Why do they do this? I mean, if he knows, it would be like if I was 89 years old, which I am, and I called up Bill Belichick and I said, hey, your 24-year-old girlfriend, I want to go out with her. The chances of that happening are probably me going out on a sunny day being hit by lightning. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. And so I think out of respect to Mr. Mackey, and by the way, no one thinks that Ian Mackey is not a serious man and a serious legislator. So if you're leading the House Emerging Issues Committee and you have a Democrat member who has an idea, even if you know the committee's not going to pass it, let's listen to what Ian has to say out of respect to him. Let's give an hour to one of our committee members or any member of the House, I should say. And if they have an idea that's been referred to our committee in good faith, let's listen to it. And then we can ask Mr. Mackey hard questions like, why do you think this is a good idea? Why do you think any version of this is feasible? So, and I think it's just a good faith thing, Brad. Let's listen to what Mr. Mackey has to say. He is a serious legislator. We'll kill it in committee, and then he can go and, if he wants to, make the bill a little bit better over the summer, fall, winter, and come back with another proposal next year.
Interesting. Okay, last thing for today, and I sort of teased it, and I didn't necessarily want to talk about this, but have you seen this bizarre video with Bill Belichick being interviewed by CBS where his 24-year-old girlfriend is interrupting the interview? Have you seen this?
I've heard it. I've heard about it, and I've seen tweets about it, Brad, but I haven't watched it. So doesn't she interrupt and tell the reporter that he's rude or that he doesn't get to ask that question or something?
The interesting thing about this, if you know what we're talking about, Bill Belichick, the vaunted coach of the New England Patriots, who is like probably one of the best football coaches of all time, has this incredible, longevity with the Patriots, has won all these Super Bowls, Tom Brady, the whole bit. Okay, he divorced his wife. He's engaged to a 24-year-old, and let me tell you, she is definitely John Combest approved. Would I be safe in saying that?
Yeah. I mean, she is earning the money that she's going to get in 10 to 15 years when he bites the big one. Like, I'm sure I won't even finish that sentence. But yeah, I'm sure she's earning her money, Brett.
Okay, so the story now goes around. It's been sort of hinted at that she is sort of running his life. Now, keep in mind, Bill Belichick is a guy, I don't know how big Bill is. He's not a small guy, but Bill Belichick is the guy that if a 6'8", 350-pound lineman makes a mistake, Bill is going to be in that guy's face, chewing him out. Bill is sort of fearless, okay? But apparently, he's become Mr. Acquiescent. Is that a term? Acquiescent to his...
acquiescent, yeah.
To his...
Yeah, no, is that true? So I don't mean to interrupt you, Brad, but so I guess is the idea, and I haven't heard anything about this, is the idea, because Bill Belichick, any man having a significantly younger girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever, triggers a whole lot of people, men and women, for a whole lot of different reasons. Is the anti-Belichick meme here that he's letting this woman walk all over him?
Yes, because she's running his life, and now she's claiming that she's his personal advisor, and she's like his PR person. The story, the video that's been leaked, they're doing a one-on-one sit-down interview. And the bizarre part of it is Belichick is sitting with a Navy shirt on, not like an old Navy shirt, but a Navy shirt that I haven't seen this part of the video. It apparently has rips in it. So he's not he was known for his hoodies he wore all the time. Now he's wearing a T-shirt that says Navy, and some people say it was a little tip of the cap to his father, who was a football coach for the U.S. Navy, the Navy football team.
Okay, I get it.
Okay, so the interviewer asks Bill Belichick a question about how did you meet your girlfriend, and she from the sideline says, "No, we're not asking that question. Next question." She's running the damn interview, And he just sits there like, okay, honey, whatever.
Well, so maybe, Brad, maybe if I worked for Bill Belichick, I told him that when people ask uncomfortable questions about the relationship, I can't attack a female or male interviewer because I'm Bill Belichick and I'm an old white man. But I can have a hot chick jump in and say, hey, we're not talking about that. Maybe it's viewed more favorably by some people. And maybe I would guess, Brad, Bill Belichick isn't winging these interviews. That's all I would say. And I would also point out, again, I haven't seen this interview and you have. I would say that a lot of people want to find any reason they can to criticize Belichick and this woman because it's an older man with money, strike one, a Republican older man with money, strike two, who scored a really super hot young chick. And a lot of people are triggered by that.
But John, isn't it a weird optic that a guy, and now he's the head coach for North Carolina football or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's a weird optic that a guy who has all this media experience has sat in front of how many countless press conferences?
Maybe he doesn't. I'm going to interrupt you, Brad, because I see where you're going with this. But again, maybe he doesn't want to have to answer those questions. So he says, I'm going to put her between me and the interview and let her be the attack dog. And who can be mad at a young woman, empowered, standing up for herself, telling journalists, hey, we have boundaries and you will not cross them. I would just make the argument that this is probably more intentional than you're giving Belichick credit for.
You think this is a setup and he's done this on purpose, that she's the attack dog and he likes it that way?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Brad. And I'm not saying that you haven't seen this before. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that, like, if you think that Belichick hasn't talked to his people about the best way to handle an age gap relationship, then whoever thinks that is probably naive.
But John, let's go back to our A-block conversation with you, and you essentially supported the idea that the sheriff of St. Louis should hire lobbyists because they are experts at that, and that's what they do. She's not a media expert. Why doesn't he hire the best of the best of the best, some media relations person, to sit off-site at these interviews or sit off-camera at these interviews? Nope, we're not going to answer that. Because don't you think that would be more appropriate, that people would think,
no, and here's why, Brad. Do you think Bill Belichick really cares if people end up hating his girlfriend or fiance?
I don't know. Maybe
So why don't you let her take the heat and let her be the bad guy in some of these interviews, right? What do you care? I mean, you're still going to be tossing her around at 8 p.m. before you watch Matlock. It's not like she's going to cut you off when she knows how much money she's going to be getting in the end of this thing.
Have you ever seen the way she dresses, though?
No, I haven't paid much attention to her. I know she was super hot when they went together. She hasn't gotten fat yet.
Listen to John. And I believe, if the story is correct, I read this last week, she's still running for Miss Maine in the Miss USA pageant. Have you heard this story as well, too?
Oh, no, I haven't. Do they have a swimsuit section of that?
Yes, they do. I believe they do.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You know, here's the problem, though. I can see the problem right now.
I see no problem with this. Go ahead, Brad.
Bill Belichick is going to lose this lady. You know who he's going to lose him to?
I was going to say he's going to have a heart attack one night 6 minutes in, but go ahead.
Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is going to go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Bezos is meeting with Trump. It's doing all the right things now.
Right. Jeff Bezos is going to go, no, hold on a minute now. That gal is hotter than my girlfriend, my fiance.
Yeah, pretty soon this Belichick girl is going to have some bolt-ons, and then Bezos is going to take her away. And then Tom Brady comes in and says, Bill, she just needs to deflate your balls.
Bye, John.